Okay, everyone, welcome to a very, very, very special edition of, I can't even talk, special edition of Talking Away the Taboo. We're going to do something we've never done before, actually, here tonight. Number one, we're having three different people come on this live. Each of them will be speaking for about 20 minutes. Um, that is number one. We've had some lives where we've had everybody all together, but we're doing this piecemeal because I really want you to hear from each of these women. I want you to hear from them individually because they have so much that they want to share, and I think will really bring some clarity to the stage of life that they're in. Okay, let's get started. Rachel. So this conversation here tonight is all about the unwritten chapters. And you are a person who is in a chapter in your life that you never thought you would be in. So can you introduce yourself and just give people who don't know you a little bit of your background?
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, by the way. I'm Rachel Honeyman. Um, I am very proud to be a board member of I was supposed to have a baby, involved in many, many different ways. But I first started being involved as a recipient of support, and that has continued over the years. Um, the very, very short version of my story is that my husband and I went through over 5 years of fertility treatments, um, one miscarriage, multiple rounds of IVF, a donor egg cycle. We went through hell, and we have, I guess, a combination of male factor and female factor infertility. And when it became clear that we were just, trying the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result, and it just was not happening, and it just was not in the cards for us, we made a very final decision about a little over 3 years ago to end our journey toward parenthood. And um, we will probably be, living with the challenges of that for the rest of our lives in many ways.
Um, as someone who has sat with you during different stages of that, and you have shared the fuller pieces of many fuller pieces of this story with us. If people want to learn a little more about Rachel, go to our podcast. You'll hear more about what she's been through. She also just published an article in Feller. I think it was last week or the week before, also about that. But not but, actually. I don't know why I said but. There's no but. And um, tell us right now where you're sitting because you made this decision. How long ago was it?
Over 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago. And I know that you and I have had a number of conversations about how people still, even though you've made the decision, you are public about the decision, it's not something that you hide, that people still almost like don't believe you or that you keep having to sort of justify it.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that piece?
Yeah. I mean, I think we are very, very uncomfortable when stories don't have a happy ending. Um, and when we see that someone has gone through a very painful journey and has not come out on the other side, I think that people can't sit with that idea. They can't sit with the idea that like things don't always work out. And so yeah, I mean, I would say the number one that I had a conversation with someone today and shared my story, and the first question was, "Well, are you going to adopt?"
Oh gosh.
And it's coming from a good place. I totally understand it's coming from a good place, but people can't wrap their heads around the idea that a story ends without the happy ending.
And so what does that so what do you say? I mean, when you've already like it's almost like you've already shared like I've already told you the end and then people come back, and again, it's not coming from a bad place. It's coming from that uncomfortability of that, "Oh, well, there surely is another way." Like, maybe didn't explore that enough. Like,
Yeah.
what do you say?
Um, it depends on the situation. In this situation, I just said we explored every option, and it that was not there. That was not the right path for us. And we are very comfortable with the path that we chose. Um, and it's still incredibly painful, and will continue to be painful forever. Yeah.
Do you how do you in the moments that feel hard, I'm guessing I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm wondering, what are those moments? Like, when does it come up for you where you feel like you need to figure out, like, you need to steel yourself before before walking in somewhere or some event? When does it come up for you?
So this has shifted over time, and one of the things that I think is uh something that I'm finding as I go, right, is I've dealt with very traditional forms of grief before. I've lost people close to me, and I've gone through the expected ways of dealing with grief, and grief comes and goes, and it goes in waves, but it the further you get from the situation, the easier it gets. And this situation that I'm in is I'm never getting farther away from the situation. It continues with me forever. So the grief still comes in waves though. And so, uh 3 years ago when we made this decision, I mean, I was a mess. I was a total mess. I was barely functional, to be honest. I was really just trying to hold it together. I was in the deepest, darkest place. Um, and I pulled myself out of that over the course of time with help, with a lot of, it was a very hard journey. And I would say 6 months ago, a year ago, like within the last 6 months to a year, I was in actually a really good place where like very little triggered me. I felt very comfortable and confident and all of that. And then in the last 6 months, all of a sudden something shifted, and I'll actually it's actually less than 6 months. I'll tell you what triggered it for me, and it's kind of been triggered since. We had our shul dinner, and first of all, it felt like 97% of the room was pregnant, right? Like that was what it felt like.
Yeah.
Um, and the other piece that really struck me was, every couple that was being honored got up and they talked about their children, and their children made these videos, and they were beautiful and funny and cute. And all I felt was like, we will never have that. Like, we will never have that. And if we're ever honored for our shul dinner, which who knows if we ever will be, but it doesn't even matter. Like, who's going to talk about us? That's a very hard moment to sit with, and like to say, and it feels silly in a way as I'm saying it, because it's like a shul dinner. Who cares? But like, those are the moments that I notice that people don't notice because it's just normal for everyone else, and for me, it's not. When someone has a bris in our shul, I have like a whole system now where like Tzvi, my husband, he's not triggered by these things at all. He's like totally okay with those sorts of things. So like he'll go and then he'll text me as soon as the bris part is over, and then I can go and like have breakfast and say Mazel Tov without feeling like I want to die. Like and when he's not available, like I have like my string of friends who I'm like, tell me as soon as the bris is over because I want to be there. I want to say Mazel Tov, and sometimes I don't even do that. Sometimes I can't do that. I can't bring myself to do that. But like, I certainly can't be there for the bris part. Like I know that. But I have like things in place. And then I have things like the shul dinner, which, like, of course, I'm not going to miss our shul dinner. And I didn't even expect to feel triggered in that way. But it's those moments that are like, oh, like, we're looking ahead at the rest of our lives where, like, we will never have a simcha. Like, there's no simcha that we will ever celebrate. And we will never have someone to talk about us or, share their wonderful stories about their parents. Like, we will never have that. And um, it's just, it's a very hard thing to sit with.
Okay, I need to be Peri in the comments here said I will, but I need to say one thing also. You may not have children who will make videos for you, but you will have so many other people in your life who love you, adore you, appreciate you, and cherish you who will make those videos. So you will have the videos. They'll just be from different people.
Thank you.
That I know definitively. Definitively. Um, Rachel, what do you do when you made this decision, when the two of you made this decision? What did you do to fill, like, you needed to fill the time, you needed to fill the all of the effort that you were spending on fertility treatments. There is now this vacuum of, well, we're not doing that. There is this space. And also, I think for all of us who are grieving, and I just, whatever it is, distraction is helpful. Distraction is helpful. Keeping busy is helpful. Like, you still have to do the work,
Mhm.
but all of those pieces are fine, and you have to keep busy. And so I'm wondering how you felt. Like, what are the things that bring you joy? What are the things that give you meaning now? Because some of them may be exactly the same and some of them may be different.
Yeah. For me, it's not just about being busy and about distraction. There's also, um, I I I have an intense need to nurture. Like, that was part of my pull toward motherhood. And so I recognized, that I needed to fill that cup. And so I had always wanted to launch my own business. That was always my goal, but I wound up launching it actually, like, right in the midst of my deepest, darkest depression. And in the midst of all of this, I launched we made this decision in June of 2022. I launched my business end of November 2022. So, about 6 months later, I was in a terrible place, and I knew that I needed to pour myself into something that brought me meaning. And so I quit my job and I started my business. Um and a business is not a replacement for a child, obviously. Um, but it has been a tremendous source of meaning. So I'll just give a very brief. I do branding, marketing, web design for mission-driven women, women who are running, businesses and nonprofits. I actually did the current campaign that is going on was my company put that
And
together.
last year's and the year before, like, let's be clear. Like,
Yes.
okay, yes, yes. Rachel's excellent. All of you need to hire her. Like, okay, fine. Keep
Thank you.
going. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. But this is the type of work that I'm pouring myself into, is really, really meaningful work that fills that cup that need to nurture. So that's kind of one piece. And then uh, anyone who knows me knows that I'm a martial artist, and I spend a lot of time on my martial arts. And I do that also from a very meaning driven place. I teach, and I'm very, very, very passionate about female empowerment, and all of that. And so those are kind of like the two main areas that I focus on, and I'm very involved in our community and in different ways. So I I I will say I'm a like hyper productive person, and that is very intentional. And there is an element of it that is not so healthy, right? It is largely in a lot of ways it is a distraction. And it's a coping mechanism in a lot of ways to really pour myself into a lot of different things. Because it's very, very hard when I have those moments of like quiet, and I have those moments to reflect on like that my life doesn't look the way that I wanted it to look. It's not a good feeling. And so, I think there's also I really do try to remind myself, like, I am building things that I love, that I'm passionate about, that bring me joy, that bring me meaning. Um, despite not having the thing that I was hoping to have.
I heard the "and" there. I'm building all of these things, and I also don't have what I hoped. I'm building different things. It's not the thing that I hoped I was going to build.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is the feeling that people are so uncomfortable with. We don't do well with cognitive dissonance, but life is dissonant, and some of our lives are more dissonant than others. And so, this is not the path that I was hoping, and it's not how I was hoping things would go. But thank God, I really feel like I I am building a life for myself that is deeply meaningful and fulfilling. And and I will always have those moments of pain for forever. It's going to continue, I think, for the rest of my life. And I think that there's something for me personally that feels it it it, it feels powerful, and in some ways it might sound weird, but it's empowering in a way to know, like, I made a choice. I did make a choice. It was the right choice for us, for reasons that we do not have time for, and probably I wouldn't talk about anyway. But really, that is there is something about that even though I know that it's going to be painful forever, it's something that I chose, consciously.
Right, there is something empowering about you making the choice as opposed to the choice being made for you. There are, I mean, there are other circumstances. We can go into them at a different time, but there are other circumstances. We have another member of our board who had an emergency hysterectomy. It was taken away from her. She had no choice in the matter. There was no agency. So yes, there is definitely something there. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Rachel, I can't thank you enough for a million things. This campaign, speaking openly so many times over and over again, putting yourself out there. I know you do it not because it's easy for you. I know you do it because there are those people out there who need to hear from someone who has so much that is rich, and yet there is still a hole. And they need to see role models. People need to know that they too can get through it. And I know one of the reasons why you put yourself out there is because of that.
Yes.
So thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
And perfect. Okay. So now by the way, if any of you want to reach out to Rachel, you absolutely can. Yes, Rachel is absolutely unbelievable. She is unbelievable. I know Rachel is happy to talk to anyone privately, one on one. You can DM her. If you want her email address, I'm happy to give it to you. You can send us an email as well. Um, okay, we are now heading to our second. Um, our second conversation for the evening. We're bringing on Tzipora Grodko. Tzipora is, I mean, does she really need an introduction? Tzipora, do you need an introduction? I kind of feel
Hey,
like no.
bestie.
I kind of feel like you don't really need an introduction, but all right,
Uh,
hold on. Before we get started, in case there are people who are just joining now, I'm going to do the like public service announcement nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Absolutely. Please do. And it's not blah, blah, blah. Welcome, everybody that's joining. And hello to everyone that's already been here. I'm going to actually introduce my role model, Amy Barron, which it's like, you know what I feel? I mean, maybe people could agree. I feel like sometimes you meet a friend, sometimes you meet a coworker, sometimes you meet someone you just like to listen to and that you like to look at. And when I met Amy, she was a really a soul sister. And I always tell you this, Amy, I don't say it to other people. You are who I want to be when I grow up. And what you've built from your pain, you've taken seeds that you didn't have to plant and you created a botanical garden. And it's my dream. It's my dream to be able to take my mission and just follow your lead and create everything that you've done for free for a population of voices that doesn't have someone to lean on. And you're like, hey, I'm here. I'll hold your hand. And you don't even have to reach out. I'll reach out to you. That's the work that Amy does. And there's always a catch, oftentimes, with organizations, nonprofits. With I was supposed to have a baby, there's no catch. There's no catch.
Okay. But in the meantime, um, Tzipora, you are a woman who actually, I'm actually not going to talk. For the like one person out there who has no idea who you are, can you tell people who you are?
Oh, sure. I'm sure it's many. Hi, everybody. My name is Tzipora, and I'm a regular figure who happens to be public. I have a podcast called Stories of Hope. And similar to Amy, who tries to give hope through support and love, I try to give hope to those who are not yet married through sharing stories of people who are in that exact same place and thought things would never change. And through divine intervention, science, and evidence that makes absolutely no sense, things did change. And today is actually a very different kind of story because today's topic of conversation, today's topic that we're sharing now is all about acknowledging the grief of not having children, of anyone that's suffered loss, fertility loss. And I can only speak from my experience. I don't want to diminish anyone who's in a completely different place. I can't understand. So I hope that my words hit the hearts of those that relate in any way, in any stage. This is a talk I only do once a year. Amy knows. I only do it once a year because it's way too hard for me to tap into this part of my life that is the probably like one of the deepest sources of pain that's relatively new. And therefore, I feel very unprepared. Before we even started this live, I reached out to a couple friends of mine and I said, hey, who can get ice cream with me at 9 o'clock when I assumed we would be over? Because I know that I will need ice cream to feel better. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm 31. And I want to say probably ever since I was 15, I've imagined a family of Weasleys running around the place. And when I started dating and navigating through this unknown territory of, capital HUH, because in our unknown future, usually we fantasize before we've been given any reason to think that we can't. And so when we're with our friends and we're all in the same stage of life, we fantasize on what the future is going to look like, who it will be filled with. Of course, we talk about the jokes of borrowing salt from one another's houses. And then the fantasy advances to, will our kids be friends? What will it be like? Having kids will for sure traumatize them. I'll pay for your kids' therapy. You'll raise my kids. And when we were navigating this chapter of singlehood, that aspect didn't happen yet. There was just this unknown of excitement. And then at a point, that excitement very much transitions into fear because when all the people that you were in that stage with, so to speak, transition through, there's this deep, deep, deep loneliness. And it's not just a physical loneliness, but it's an existential loneliness. What do I, at this point, the value of my life seems to be that I feel this desire, this drive to transcend, to transform. I don't want to be here anymore. So how do I create this life that gives me life when I'm not living the life that I want? And that's an entirely new conversation. Um, and I would say when I hit 20, I want to say when I hit 28, maybe, that's when I started to slowly get introduced to grief. Not just grief of lost time, but grief of loss of like a lost fertile clock. And I want to be sensitive to anyone who may be crossing their arms and thinking that they're 9 years older than me and I can't relate. I can't relate to you. But I only know my version and my story that's appropriate to my timeline. And that was so new and so scary because initially when my friends had one child, there's definitely hardship. But it was more social for me personally, it was more social hardship. When we'd all get together, I felt like I couldn't participate in the conversation. When my friends would connect with one another, I couldn't connect with them. And that exacerbated the loneliness I had because it wasn't just a loneliness of physically being alone, but the people that made my life less alone now felt more distant. And there was nothing I could do to help. There was nothing I could do. And so more recently, there's the unknown, which used to be something that I would fantasize about, started to become very fearful. Um, if if the unknown means that, we start doing the math of our bodies and our clock, that things will be different for me, that the life I wanted to create. When people used to say to me, "How many kids do you want?" I used to say, I know I might seem foolish by saying this, but like as many as I can have. Like I want to be, I want it to be chaos. You just you just start to see that the things aren't possible. You just do your own basic math. Things aren't possible. And I think that there's been different levels of challenge where I thought, well, it can't get harder than this, and it can't get harder than that. And I think when it started to get extremely difficult was when my married siblings had children. Not because I was jealous and I felt like they took something away from me, but it was rewriting a narrative of a life that wasn't the life I chose and was never a life I could get, which is ever since I was little, telling my siblings, like, you're going to have to watch my kids while I go out with my husband, but don't worry, we'll bring you back good food. And I can't wait for you to take care of my kids. I can't wait for my kids to bond with my little brother. And that life, God willing, will happen, but it's in a way that I could never get, and they could never give to me. There's a sense of newness that I almost feel gets stolen, and with newness comes tremendous joy and excitement, and it's just an experience that I can never get with my friends. I can never get with my younger siblings. Um, I could never really get with my family. And there's like new loss and all of that. Um, there's also a very unnatural sense of feeling um, almost like your dignity gets eliminated. Just being around younger siblings, children. You just feel like I'm the older sibling. I wanted to be the expert to train you in on this experience. And now I won't be. And yes, you could learn to adjust to that, but it's not the simple nature of the desires that I want to highlight. But it's again, it's a whole monumental chapter of life that I almost feel like my right as an older sister was taken away from me. And that was a role I've been very used to for a very long time. Um, that doesn't usually happen in family. It's usually pretty consistent. And I think that the complexity of the pain people go through is probably far beyond their ability to even understand when people say, I feel triggered. Well, there's so much to appreciate in that trigger. Maybe you feel triggered because again, your right as an older sibling seems to have been taken away. And yes, you're an aunt, but maybe you don't have you feel more of like the babysitter aunt, the cool aunt. I am the cool aunt, but I also so badly want want to have kids that can be cousins to my siblings' kids. When my siblings get together, and this was also new for me, and their kids play and they watch and they say, "This is so wild. Remember when we used to play? Remember when we used to make fun of each other? Oh, we also used to make the clubhouses." Whew. It's it's a new kind of pain that I never could have anticipated. And it doesn't really stop. So you learn to live with it. And just because it hurts doesn't mean it's a threat. It just means that it's really not what you prefer. But um, there's no but. There's no but. It's not a threat. It's just a new challenge. So that's really hard. And I share this and I'm transparent and vulnerable in the hopes that if someone hears it and they say, yes, that's what I'm feeling, they can have words to their pain. They could have insight to their confusion because there's nothing worse than being in pain and like feeling like you're being dramatic or feeling misunderstood. That's everything that your organization does, sees people, supports people, holds people. And I just don't know if the people that are around us have the bandwidth to understand what we need because when we're so clouded in our own pain, sometimes we don't even know what we need. And it can be confusing. Like, yes, I want to go to the family get together, but like it hurts so much to be here too. So, how do I contend with that? How do I adjust to that? Oftentimes, we think that adjusting means now it feels better, but that's really not the case. Adjusting just means I learn to live with the whole. And sometimes I can't fill it with something else. But I've learned that maybe I should build a bridge. Maybe I should like take very cautious steps near the edge. I think the illusion that there's something we can do to just fix it, to put on that smile is so dismissive. It's disrespectful and it's very unhealthy because then we can't grow through the experience. We just go through the experience, if we do at all, holding our nose, closing our mouth to the point where we can't even breathe. And that's not why God gives us challenges, so that we can seclude ourselves and feel even worse than we already feel. But it's to learn how to grow, and it's okay if you hear this and you decide I don't want to hear that. But right now, it's what I have to share because it's the way that I can try to grow through my own experience. Um, but I think like the important theme is that the unknown was something we used to anticipate with excitement. And then the unknown becomes something that we fear. And learning how to be at peace. Whew, it's a hard one, but be at peace with what I don't know and accept what I don't understand can help alleviate all that fear because we don't need to live in it. It's our baseline natural place that we go to and learning how to live. Sometimes people say, just do this or just do that. There's like a lot of action points that no one mentions. It takes time, it takes practice, and it's not consistent because the things around us are constantly changing. Someone else shares that they're pregnant. Someone else invites you to a meal, and you just don't know where to place yourself. When I see someone holding a kid with red hair, I go on full mode like stalker. Hi, can I hold her? Hi, I want to take her. Hi, I'm going to run away. Like that's, I'm like, that should be my child. And I cannot wait. And so I encourage people who the unknown is now fearful. I want to encourage you to still get excited, to still get excited. You might say it hurts. It hurts either way. At least one form of pain is comforted with some pillows, while the other you're just kind of standing alone and there's an achy breeze and there's nothing to support you. And I'm still trying to figure it out. It changes constantly. It's still very new. It's still very new, but I know that it's so important to feel and to grieve. It's so important. And your organization, when I saw you put something out acknowledging the single population, I felt like, wow, I feel so seen and I feel like I have permission to have all these feelings instead of feeling guilty and shameful that I should be grateful or be optimistic or something else. So I just want to thank you for being so thoughtful in your sensitive nature and trying to see anyone and everyone who deserves to be seen. And that's why I just want to thank everyone who's taken a moment to go to their website to give a donation, because this is all free. This is all free. This is all free. I happen to know, hope Amy doesn't get upset at me. I happen to know Amy doesn't take anything from the organization for herself, as most founders do. It's the norm. It's the only way to sustain an organization. Amy does not. She doesn't do that. Um, and so if there's a place to give, if you have Maaser and you want to just give knowing that my dollar has helped alleviate someone's pain, my dollars, what a better way to go to sleep at night. And I just want to thank you, because I'm someone that benefits from the organization. So your contribution helps. So thank you. I'm sorry. That was my monologue.
Tzipora, you don't ever have to apologize for anything. Anything. Um, I I know you always say this to me. You say, I do this once because I can't do this. I can't do this because it is my lived experience now. And I always say to people say to me sometimes, could you have spoken about your grief and your loss when you were right in the midst of it, when you were in the midst of that pain? And I always say, I don't think so. Like, I started speaking, I started going public with my story well after I was already done. My story was finished and then I started speaking. And so for you who is still very much sitting in it, to have this really just this bravery to put yourself in a position where you're sitting with people all day long. Okay, when you're doing the podcast, maybe not all day long, but sitting with people who have happy endings, and you're still in a place of waiting, I think is so incredibly brave and powerful for all the people out there who are also in your position. And one other thing, maybe I'll ask you, and then I really want to let you go so you can go get ice cream. I also want to know what flavor ice cream you're getting, by the way. What
Soft serve
flavor?
vanilla with crunchy rainbow sprinkles.
Okay. Crunchy rainbow sprinkles. Okay, right. Because there's soft rainbow sprinkles and crunchy. Okay. Okay, got it. Got it. Um, the difference between Rachel, who just spoke, and you is that for Rachel, she made the active decision to stop trying. She made the active decision that her life was not going to include children and that she had to then deal with the pain and the grief of that decision. For you, this is not what you chose.
Mm-mm.
This is just what is. And so it's different.
Yeah. It also makes me think of whenever I'm learning about like our matriarchs, we always learn about them as the mothers, like the mothers of the generation, the mothers, the mothers, the mothers. And I could try to be a leader as best as I can. I can try my best, but
You
can't try.
are. You are.
I can't try my best to be a mother. That mother I aspire to be, I can't do that until it's a gift that I am given. So it's not by choice. And yes, I've had actually a lot of people reach out to me saying, "Oh, can you speak about this topic? Can you speak about egg freezing? Can you speak about a lot of egg freezing things?" And I don't know if I smile because it's usually on the phone, but I just say no, and I very quickly have to do something else because it hurts too much. It hurts a lot. It hurts so much. Ooh, it's really, really hard. And so if someone's in it and it's really hard, I just don't want you to feel alone because that makes everything so much harder. And and things don't have to have a happy ending. Sometimes the best ending is just to feel seen because you may not be feeling very happy. So, once again, thank you. Thank you for helping us feel seen.
Tzipora, go find your ice cream.
Okay.
I, I love you.
I love you. Thank you to everyone that joined. I hope you feel seen.
Thank you. Look at these are hard conversations that we need to have, that we are having because people are experiencing them. They are living them every single day. And we all as a community need to be more sensitive, more kind, because there are people around us who are going through unfathomable things, not of their own choice. Okay, now I want to end with Peri. Peri, where are you? Are you here? Nope. Gary, we're not. I'm Gary is Peri's husband. Maybe I don't know, Peri, are you having trouble? Maybe I should grab Gary and see if Gary wants to come. Or Peri, are you here? Peri has been on, I was supposed to have a baby, I think twice as a podcast. Oh, you're here. Okay, so come join. Come join. Let me grab you. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I gotcha. Peri has been on, I was supposed to have a baby on the podcast. She's spoken twice about the fact that here she is, that she
Okay.
is, wait,
Oh,
no,
wait, how
you're
do I do
sideways.
this?
Okay, you're
Okay.
good. You're good.
Okay.
Love the
Boy.
hair.
Oh,
Love the
you like this is my natural hair.
I've never seen it like that.
I know this is
We've done 2 other Insta lives,
I
and I've never seen
know.
the natural hair. What's going
I
on?
know. Isn't it actually it's a new shade, so
Come on.
I'm kidding around.
I
Okay.
know. I mean, people don't know this, so, like, you're
Right.
pulling everybody's leg here.
Right.
All right.
So
So
first of all,
Peri okay, Peri, okay, tell people who you are. Introduce yourself.
okay, hi, I'm Peri. And just to add on to what Tzipora said, about endings, happy endings, sad endings, I found Amy, and Amy didn't know me. Somebody gave me her phone number, and I told her my story. And she said to me, and we had never met, and she said to me, I just want you to know I'm holding space for you. And I see you. Do you know, I never heard of that expression before. And I love it because we come from Jewish tough woman stock where, we have to make the best of things. What are you grateful for? Let's make a list of 10 things that we're grateful for. Let's tough it out. Nobody wants anybody to be sad. I can't remember in my childhood anything being sad. Like you grew up, if you did X, Y, Z, you grow up and you're happy. You get married, you have children, they are healthy. They go to school, they get married, you have grandchildren, that's just the way it goes if you do everything right. But there is no mathematical formula for this. Sometimes you could do everything right or the same way your friends are doing it, but things don't end up the same. And a lot of things for me did not end up the same as they did for my friends. So I spoke to Amy about it, and we realized together that there is another component about I was supposed to have a baby. I was supposed to have me a grandbaby. And I didn't. And I'm here to talk about that tonight. And, but there are 2 things that stuck with me about your beautiful 2 speakers before Tzipora and Rachel. First of all, Rachel with her choice. Making a choice is so powerful, especially as a Jew who believes in Hashem, because I have an adult special needs daughter. And I remember every Friday afternoon, all the girls in my neighborhood would come out of school and they would all go to the local pizza shop. And my daughter was never included. And I couldn't drive by the pizza shop. I would sit down and start to cry in my car. I couldn't go home just from watching the typical girls my daughter's age going to the pizza shop. She was never invited. And I would cry every Friday. And then I remember one Friday I was in my car And I actually spoke out loud to Hashem. And I said, you know what, Hashem? You did this. You gave me this daughter. I can't be sad anymore on Fridays. I'm making a choice today that you messed this up. You got to fix this, Hashem. Kind of like Jesus takes the wheel, but in Hashem.
I love you, Peri, so much.
Okay, so I'm going to let Hashem be in charge, and making a choice like that and not giving up on my daughter, just giving up on my power, giving up on my magic wand, giving up, um, thinking I could fix everything, because I always think that. And this journey in life has taught me otherwise. I can't fix nothing, but I could make a lot of jokes. I could have nice hair. I could talk to you. I could tell people that you're not alone, because, oh, I went to this thing in my shul. There was a speaker from Israel, Amy and Co. There were so many people who came over to me who saw the podcasts and said, wait a minute, you're Peri. And I said, yes. And they told me how much that podcast had helped them. I'm not singing, Tammy, but yes, I can sing.
That's the next podcast. But
That's the next one.
we actually have one planned already. I mean, we're gonna do a
Yes.
whole skit in the situation, but that's not for
Yes.
tonight, not for
And
tonight.
Tammy Daniela might come on and sing with me.
Yeah. We have
So-
we're planning it. We're planning it.
So that's the first thing, the choice. And the second thing that Tzipora said was, making adjustments. Some days we don't even know what we need. Like, some days I could be so prickly when I'm playing a mahjong game and everybody is saying things like, they take out their phones and they start whipping out pictures of their grandchildren. And I'm happy they have grandchildren. Talk about your grandchildren. It doesn't bother me. However, when things are said, for example, do you see this? This is my reason for living. These grandchildren are my reason for living. Of course, they're not saying to me, you don't have a reason to live, Peri, but it's like, and, people say all kinds of crazy things. And I still hold by the fact that I don't believe that Hashem gives people things they can deserve. And I really have a problem when people say that, oh, you have a special needs child because Hashem picks special mothers for the special children. Like, I wish that I had a degree in martial arts like your first lady who was on, because I would be able to use it, but I don't. So instead, I just feel like I just like lose the power of speech half the time. That's my go-to, losing the power of speech. But people should talk about their grandchildren. People should not be inhibited when I'm in the room. Just be mindful of not saying creepy things. There's a difference. And then again, there may be a day that somebody would say that to me and I would just feel like, that person's an idiot, and it wouldn't affect me at all. But every day we wake up feeling differently. It's, every day is a new day. I think that the one component that is a theme with every one of our challenges, I'm going to just take a good guess and say that it's the isolation factor. It's being in a group. Thank you, Miriam Lauren. Your name 613 says it all, baby.
She's amazing.
Okay, so I think that the challenges that Hashem give us are more manageable to me than the feelings of isolation, feeling different, and feeling like this is not what I expected in life. I just feel like in this community, what your first guest said about going to the dinner and seeing the video about the children, it's around her. It's around her. I had one weekend last month that I had a wedding Thursday night, I had a wedding Sunday night, I had a bris Sunday morning, I had a barbecue. The people, I love the people. They had like 50 grandchildren. I have to realize that even if my husband says, what's wrong with you? You're the belle of the ball. You're going to have the best time. Sometimes I have to just decide not to go to everything. And that's also okay. And we all just have to take care of ourselves the way we feel that day. And that's my message. And I'm sticking to it. Now,
Yes.
did
Now what?
anybody give any money yet?
We have a little bit. We remember we started at 181,487, and we're now at 182,571. So we got about $1,100. I mean, I have
Okay.
$10,000 to give. I have this
Oh, wow.
matching. So I
Okay,
mean,
wait, Amy, you're a witness. Gary Lyman, my husband,
yeah.
just said how much he loves me. You're a witness. He just typed it in. So now, could you please tell Gary, Amy, and everybody else on this podcast that I shouldn't be forced to go to all of these events if I don't feel up to it? Could you please all comment? There's no comments. Mom and Dad, Amy, Tammy, nobody's commenting.
All right,
Okay.
Gary, here's the story. And really, I think this is the story for everyone. The reality is, I'm going to speak about myself. When I was forced to go someplace that I was not up to doing emotionally, it ended up actually being a disaster, complete disaster. I ended up hysterically crying at inappropriate moments, inappropriate events. I actually remember there was a shiva call that I like didn't really want to make, but I felt that this obligation because it was someone important in our community who we have a relationship with, and I was about a week after one of my losses. I went to the shiva call. I didn't know this person well, but again, someone prominent in the community. It was important for us to go. I sat in that shiva call in that house, sobbing.
Mm.
It was totally inappropriate. I didn't know this person's relative. I barely knew the person, and I was sobbing, and people were looking at me as if I had 3 heads, like, why was I had to walk out. So I think that and I've heard this from a lot of people, that when you push yourself when you're not ready, it backfires.
I so agree because after that 4-day Simcha stint, I was a wreck for 2 weeks and I was so happy for all of the people at every single Simcha. It's not even about that. It's just more isolation, extra isolation. And by the way, everybody here who is putting in comments, you're amazing. You have such a good cover here. Amy, are you reading these comments?
I'm reading them all.
I
I'm reading them
love
all.
this. Thank you, everybody. I hope Gary's reading them. He'll give a big tzedakah. He's very.
Gary, look, I mean, we have another like basically $8,500 for tonight. So I mean, I'm waiting for you to give that. Listen, here. Actually, let's make a deal. Let's make a deal. If you give the $8,500, then Peri will go to any event for the rest of her life. She'll just go. It'll. Okay, I'm totally kidding, obviously, because that's
No, no.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. As we close this down here, Peri, for all the people out there who are
Yes, Talia. Yes.
yes, for all the people out there who are in the I was supposed to's, fill in the blank. I was supposed to be a mother. I was supposed to be married already. I was supposed to be a grandmother. what do you do? Because Tzipora shared this, Rachel shared this. I want to know, what do you do when you need to fill your cup? When things are
I
just
get some vodka, get a glass, and I fill. No, I don't.
all right.
Okay.
I walked
You
right into
set
that. I
me up.
know.
That was
I walked right
such
into
a
it.
bad joke.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so
yeah. It was
sorry.
terrible. It was terrible.
Sorry. What do I do? Well, your first speaker was saying how she is an overdoer and she's a workaholic, basically, and very productive. When I need to fill my cup, I can be the most unproductive person on this side of the Mississippi. I will binge out a Netflix. I will read a lot of books. And during the summer, I go to the beach every single day. And, I just want to share one thing. I joined a beach club, and this beach club, it's like such a good mashal. It's a good example of life. Okay? You get to the beach club, and it's a lot of 516 people from the 5 towns. And like, I know a lot of them from high school and they were mean to me then. So just imagine now. Okay. So first you have to get through the 5 towns scary people. And then you see some people and they bombard you with questions. How many kids do you have? Where's your daughter? Where does she live? What do they do? Is she married? Are you married? Are you divorced? Are you this? Are you that? Then you get through that. Then finally, you get to your cabin. And then somebody is going to harass you there. And these are all religious Jewish people. And you're already ready to get in your car and turn around and go home. Then you get to the ocean. You get to the ocean and you walk on the ocean and you say, Hashem, thank you. Thank you for this ocean. And it just makes me feel like it's such a good microcosm of life. You have to pull and go and through so much garbage, but then you can get to something so beautiful, even with all of the other garbage that's in your path. There's still beauty. And I think of it every time I go to the beach club, there is still a lot of beauty. So we say, thank you, Hashem, for the ocean. But then the only caveat is you have to go back to get your car from the valet, and then you see the people again. You
Yeah.
see the people who didn't talk to you in high school, didn't talk to you in college. They sure as heck ain't going to talk to you in the valet. So it's just getting through all the muck into the beauty. That's life.
Peri, I know why I keep having you on here, because every time we talk, I smile here and also in our private conversations. And yes, there is a musical coming. There is a musical coming. That will be our next podcast number 4 with Peri. But your brilliance is
Yes, Talia. You would not believe, Talia, the things that people have said to me. I should really just write a book, but I decided just to laugh this time.
you have to. You have to. But it is absolutely, it's a lesson for all of us. We're never going to get rid of the noise. We're never going to get rid of the muck. The muck is always going to be there.
And
But
that's
if
what I
you,
call it.
yeah,
I call it the noise. I call the challenges that I have. I call them challenges. I call them problems. I call it Surus. There's lots of names for it. But the noise from the people around me, I need the martial arts degree. And that's it. I learned something tonight too. I need martial arts.
okay. So you can have your ocean, and then you can take up a new hobby, which will fill your
Right.
time.
I
And
have
then
to
you'll be
call
able to use it.
Rachel.
You need to. You need
Yeah.
to. Thank you again, Peri. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
And thank you, Amy. Thank you for all of the amazing work you do. And I'm going to give you a bracha, and everybody here is going to agree with the bracha. Hashem should give you good health, keep you brilliant, and keep you beautiful, and give you chizuk to continue this tremendous chesed and brilliant work that you do. It's so helpful to so many people, including me. I speak from experience. I'm a primary source.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. And I'll just I'll just add to that. My biggest desire is that if Mashiach comes, if the Messiah comes, and that all of these problems go away, then I can wade through the muck and I can sit on the beach too. So
Listen,
this
tomorrow
is what I dream of.
tomorrow is guest day, Amy. Drive to Queens and hop in my car. We don't need my Mashiach for that.
All right. It's not going to be
All right.
tomorrow, but we'll talk about it
Okay.
next week. We'll talk about
Okay.
it.
All
Good
right.
night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Good night. Thank you.